Hey everyone, before we hop into the show, just want to break in with a quick announcement. We are going to be we're doing kind of a mini experiment here, and we'll give you more information about this at the end of the episode when you stay tuned for that. But basically, we're going to be introducing a live interactive component to the show, and we're going to be testing this for the next 10 weeks every Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern Time. We'd love for you to join us. We'd love for you to submit your voicemails, your questions about this show, or something that's going on in the larger FI community or in the personal finance world. We really, our goal for years has been to make this show very interactive, and we think we might have stumbled onto a tech solution that will allow us to do that. So, with that in mind, we're going to be using a app called Stereo, and we're going to be going live and accepting voicemails and questions every Tuesday night for about an hour. And you can get more information. You can access that event at choosefi.com/live. All the details can be found there. And I would just encourage you, if you've wanted to kind of add your input on the show, you've wanted to ask a question, you've wanted to be a part of one of our Friday roundups, that you consider joining us there. Just go to choosefi.com/live. And with that, back to the show. All right, everybody, on today's show, we're going to take a look at how, if you have information that serves you where you are, and more specifically, if you're willing to look outside of your current comfort zone and grab good information and take action on it, you can radically transform your life and your fortune in a matter of weeks, months, honestly, not even a year, right? That's the power of this community and the power of the information that this community is sharing. And you have to be willing to take it and digest it and then take action on it. We're going to give you a perfect case study in that today. We're going to be sharing with you Anita's story, and it's going to blow your mind. Welcome to the Ultimate Crowdsource Personal Finance Show. This is ChooseFI. All right, guys. Well, all of us had to live through 2020, and some of us were in industries that absolutely got annihilated. Hospitality being one of them. I can't imagine an industry that was hit more than hospitality. And today, we're going to be speaking with Anita, who found herself in that industry and was kind of looking down a very long, dark tunnel, but stumbled on this community, stumbled on this content, took radical action, and you are going to be blown away by her story. Can't wait to dive into it. And to help me with this, I have my co-host Brad here with me today. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jonathan, I am doing quite well. And yeah, this should be wonderful. So, what's interesting is Anita reached out to me right after she found ChooseFI and the FI community, which I did not realize until 5 minutes ago when she said, "Oh, we've actually kind of met." We emailed back and forth, and I remembered her email and I just called it up. And she started taking action from the very first. She responded to my FI Weekly and gave me her wins of the week. And it was just really, really inspiring. And then she had mentioned, okay, I'm in the hospitality industry, I'm furloughed. And that was the last I heard until right now. So, I mean, personally, I'm fascinated to hear her story, what happened, and how she picked herself back up. So, yeah, Jonathan, this should be great.
So we're going to go ahead and bring Anita on, but I just need to give a little bit more context. This is a finding the idea of financial independence, realizing that the equation is earn more, spend less, and figure out how to optimize or invest the difference. Anita has done all of that, but the earn more piece actually ties really closely to what we were talking about in regards to Talent Stacker and specifically the Salesforce Career Development Program. By listening to ChooseFI, she heard that I had started that other podcast, the Talent Stacker podcast, and how Bradley and I had put together that Salesforce Career Development Program because of the actions that she had already implemented. ChooseFI, she gave it a shot. Her results blew my mind, and I invited her on the show as well as Bradley on the show to talk about it, just because I think both of them confirm that although her results are amazing, she's not a total outlier. This is what they are seeing every single day, every single week, and it's just amazing to be a part of. So with that, Anita and Bradley, welcome to the ChooseFI podcast. So excited to have you here today.
Yeah, really happy to be here. Really excited to be here. Thank you for having me on. This is crazy because I just started listening to you guys in August and I am on here now.
Action is everything. And Bradley, just for some context for people, we've featured you on the show twice, and I would love for you to kind of give a sense, because although we rolled out the Salesforce Career Development Program last fall, last November, really it was almost because our community, the ChooseFI community, told us they wanted it. And I think you recognized that earlier on, and you were doing your best to say, people, look, this is insane. This is the best opportunity that's out there right now. Nobody's talking about this, and the field is wide open. I saw you doing that. I didn't know quite what to do with it. It took us a while to kind of figure out what it might look like. But I mean, you knew, like, give our audience a sense. You knew this is something that can change lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we were on episode 117 talking about Salesforce and lifestyle design. And I think we had a lot of fun, and the audience latched on to Salesforce, and that I was working this 15 to 20 hour a week schedule and making incredible income, right around $200,000 a year. And they really latched on to, hey, what is Salesforce? And from that, we actually spun up a Salesforce group for the ChooseFI community, where people started joining in, and we noticed people were landing jobs based on just the community spirit there and talking to each other and learning from each other. And over the course of about 2 years, that group grew to about 5,000 members, and we have had hundreds of people land jobs in the Salesforce community just from that community learning and growing together.
So all this being said, I want to bring this back to Anita and get you in here. So, this is kind of some of the subtext, right? The background story. ChooseFI is producing content mostly around personal finance and building a better life. We have Bradley on the show, but walk us through, like, last year, you're in the hospitality industry. It's a tumultuous year at best. Tell us kind of how you found Salesforce and, like, what questions you had the first time you heard it.
Yeah, I mean, so about exactly a year ago, I was still working at a hotel as a revenue manager, and the hotel was connected to a convention center. So we're a big box, big group heavy hotel. And I think this is the time where groups started canceling. And I'm the person that does the short term forecast for it. So just group after group after group, like dropping off. And I think finally in March, I was furloughed. It was just a really sad time because, we have over 1,200 rooms at the property, and our bread and butter is group business. So obviously the pandemic is not going to nix with that. So a lot of us were furloughed in March. Right after that, I was very proactive. I started learning everything, trying to figure out what my next move was, because I could tell, like, hospitality is not going to recover anytime soon. So I started taking classes on Coursera, edX, LinkedIn Learning. And then I started researching companies in the Fortune's top places to work, because the company I worked for was number one there 2 years in a row. So I was like, well, I enjoyed there. So what else is on there? And that's when I first heard of Salesforce. And at first I was like, oh, I don't want to do sales. Did a little more research, found out that's not what they do. Actually signed up for a Trailhead account, which is their online learning account, and did that for a day. But I was like, this is awesome, but how easy or how hard is it to actually get into this? I don't know anybody who does this. So, like, is this real? So fast forward a couple of months, I kind of like gave up and binge watched everything on Netflix. Got a little like depressed, that part of the pandemic and quarantine, you're just like very blah. August, we had an all manager meeting for the property, and it still no good news. So that kind of lit a fire under me. And I recall years ago, I stumbled upon Mr. Money Mustache's famous blog posts. But at the time, I was like, I'm never gonna make that money. I'm not in tech. Like, it's too hard. Like, FI is not for me. And then after that, I think I started listening to podcasts, and that's how I stumbled upon you guys. And I binge listened to over 100 episodes within that month. I had you guys playing in the background, like when I was like cooking and doing chores and stuff all the time. And then I stumbled upon your Talent Stacker episode with Bradley Rice. And that's when I really learned more about Salesforce and how lucrative it could be and how possible it is for anyone to do, even without a tech background. So I signed up for his free 5-day challenge, got hooked, actually ended up in the paid program. And I mean, I hopped back on the Trailhead in October, transferred my binge skills and binge learned everything I could straight for a month. Like, I mean, I was unemployed. In October is when I actually got laid off. So I was unemployed. I don't have kids. I use it as like, it was my full-time 40-hour work week job. So come November, about exactly a month later, I went ahead and took the first admin certification exam and passed. And then after that, I used all the tips I learned from the program and ended up landing a job in January that pays really well.
We'll come back to that in a second. I know Brad has a ton of questions even before we get there.
Yeah, this is amazing. So I want to kind of slow down on your story, right? Because this is what's transferable to other people. It's you're proactively exploring, like you knew way back in March of 2020, this is probably not going to end well for my industry. It sounded like you realized, okay, I've got to pick up skills, right? I've got to explore. I've got some runway, possibly, but I've got to learn some things, right? And that in and of itself is amazing. I mean, most people just reactively wait until things happen to them and then bemoan, oh, poor me. So, I mean, just in and of itself, that's amazing. I want to kind of talk about this whole time period here. So, where were your personal finances, right? So, obviously, you found ChooseFI towards the end of 2020, but where were your personal finances? How did you think of yourself in terms of, oh, my finances are? Were they set? Were they in trouble?
Uh, they're okay. So when I went to college, I had a lot of scholarships, so I didn't really have any debt there. I did buy not brand new, partially used, but not within the 5-year time period you guys recommend a car in the beginning of January 2020, which I am about to pay off now with my next few
With
paychecks,
this massive
Nice.
which
shovel
is
you
nice.
have.
Um, and then, but like that's my only debt. So it wasn't really that bad. I was in a good spot. Investing wise, yeah, I can work on that a lot. But at the time, year ago, I was living with myself, and then the pandemic forced me to move in with my boyfriend, which is great, but just like fast forwards relationships, which I think it did for a lot of people.
Yeah, that certainly certainly makes sense. So, okay, so it sounds like, things weren't obviously aside from the job, which was not in good in a good place. It sounds like you were stable, right?
Yes, stable.
S-
Yeah.
So, but what did you think? So, I guess before you found Choosify, before Bradley's amazing course came to you, like, hey, you're in hospitality. That's what you've done. Was that your whole career? And like, what did you think you were gonna do?
Yeah. So I mean, in my 20s, I kind of bounced around a bit. Did a whole like year and a half backpacking around the world by myself, trying to find myself and realize, oh, I really like hospitality. And then when I got into it, the discount, like I love traveling, and then the hotel discounts are crazy good. Um, so it made it really hard to leave. And I was like, well, I have a good career path, and I was on a great trajectory. Like I I was only there for maybe 2.5 years, but first 6 months I got into their management development program. Right after that, I got hired as an analyst. And then soon after that, I got hired as a manager. And then I was just like moving on up. So I would eventually get to the kind of pay I am now. It would just take a lot longer. But like, yeah.
And this really is where I want to come with this, because if you think about it, I really want people to hear this. Like you heard, all right, Salesforce, maybe a good company. You go look at it, and your own Google research gave you virtually zero information. You don't know anybody that's doing it. You don't know what anybody's making. You don't know how hard it is going to be able to get in this. You don't actually know what the role is. And then, really, as a result of listening to that episode with Bradley and then just taking a free 5-day challenge, you suddenly saw the matrix and you said, holy crap, this will actually work. And so, Bradley, like, and it's funny, is exactly, this kind of epiphany that you had, this realization that's now been actualized, is the same. I have a lot of friends, and they continue to hear kind of little updates about this, or they know what's going on. Increasingly, I had 3 friends hit me up this week and ask me questions about this program, because it does sound too good to be true. You're telling me that with no background experience, I've never been in this for, and a really kind of ugly time in the economy. A lot of small businesses are struggling, a lot of uncertainty. Like most people would say, I can't afford to lose my job right now because would I be able to get another one? I think that's probably the fear place that most people operate from, even if they're not happy in it. You're telling me that there's recruiters bending over backwards to get access to me if I have, a certain skill set or certificate or can present myself in a certain way. Bradley, give people a sense like, why is Anita able to go through this free 5-day program and then take this, paid career development program, and then in a period of less than 6 months, double, maybe even triple her salary? How is that even possible? We're still kind of coming out of this thing.
Yeah, well, I think cloud-based technology is less impacted by things like the pandemic because they are skill positions, but they're able to be done completely remotely without a lot of change management that goes into that. So using some sort of tech nomenclature there, but really these jobs are able to be done from anywhere in the world, much less just from sitting at home quarantining. It's very easy to get these jobs done as long as you know how to do it. And Salesforce was already primed for needing more and more help because Salesforce is an amazing tool that companies need to use to operate their companies. And companies, hundreds of thousands of companies across the globe use Salesforce, but there aren't nearly as many skilled Salesforce professionals to actually fill the roles that are needed. So already in the global Salesforce economy, there were hundreds of thousands of job openings that no one was able to fill, or they were being filled, but it was not quality skill that was filling those positions. So you'll notice if you're one of these people who just wants to dive in and research, that Salesforce used to have a few barriers to entry. They didn't have an online training program. They built that because of the demand for new skilled people. So, like Anita mentioned, they brought on Trailhead, which is a completely free online training platform to learn Salesforce. Why did they do that completely free? Because they are in dire need of new Salesforce professionals. And then it used to be that Salesforce certifications had to be maintained 4 times a year, and you'd have to pay an annual cost to maintain your certifications. And they completely wiped away the maintenance fee. They moved it to just once a year because, once again, they're trying to knock down all these barriers to just, they're begging people to come get Salesforce skill and help their customers who need Salesforce professionals in place. So Salesforce was already primed with a huge supply and demand gap. And that's what allows people like Anita to come in and they think, why would anyone ever hire someone who studied online for a couple of months and got a certification and maybe got a little bit of volunteer experience and now they want to hire me for 60, 70, 80, $100,000? That's absurd. And that's where that thought process comes in, where you put those dots together and you say, no, that's a scam. That's way too good to be true. And I'll tell you, even from where I am today, when people say that sounds too good to be true, I 100% agree with them. It does upfront sound way too good to be true. And I think this is one of those, really rare occasions where something sounds way too good to be true and it just happens to be true. And I'll say that financial independence was that way for me too. It was, you're telling me I can work for 10 years and if I save more than I spend and I save this percentage and 25x my, the 4% rule, and you put all this together and you go, there's no way that's true. And so you spend hundreds of hours digging into it to find out, oh my gosh, it is true. That's unbelievable. And then you see people execute on it. This is exactly the same way. And I'll say the other parallel there is that, just like with financial independence, if you wait until next year or you wait until 2 or 3 years from now and then you take action, you are now 2 or 3 years behind your future, right? So why wait for your future to come to you when you could come to it right now? So it's really the same. Like if you wait for your Salesforce career to come to you, you could look up 2 or 3 years from now and you could already be making $150,000 plus, but here you are still trying to figure out how do you get started.
I'm laughing because he's serious, people. These are real numbers. That's just, it's crazy. It shouldn't be like that. Anita can confirm some of this for us shortly. Brad, I can see you wanting to weigh in there. And I'm going to look down at my phone right now, not because I'm not interested in this conversation, but because I want to pull up questions that my friend sent me when I was saying, guys, I know it sounds too good to be true. This is the real deal. I'm going to bring some of those questions that they're asking me because I think they reflect people's gut reaction when they hear about this. So I'm going to find those questions. Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, the too good to be true. It's funny that you brought up financial independence. I was thinking of travel rewards. People have said that to me for years, right? Like, this has to be a scam. It has to be fake. It's got to hurt your credit score, whatever. And, I did the research. I did hundreds upon hundreds of hours of research and it was legit, right? I mean, sometimes I think we're right to be skeptical, right? I think that's normal humanity because a lot of things that sound too good to be true usually are, but sometimes there's that rare occasion where it's not. So yeah, this is neat. And Bradley, I know going back to episode 117, I mean, this was your life. You're not a paid employee for Salesforce. You're not a co-founder of Salesforce. You're just a regular guy who had a job. You picked up skills, right? I think that's the part that I want to get through to the audience here. Sure, this Salesforce thing is fantastic and you guys are going to keep talking about it. And that's, I mean, awesome. But what we're looking for is providing ways for people to pick up skills that can help further their career and help them get to financial independence quicker, right? I mean, Anita is case in point number one of this, right? I mean, she was in an industry where she sounded like she was fast tracked, but then the world hit and you need to pick up the pieces. And it's pretty cool, I think, as the FI community, we've talked so long about how can we crowdsource, right? We've used that phrase, but this is an example. And Bradley, you are the starting point in the FI community for crowdsourcing this on Salesforce, right? This is not the only option for people looking to earn income, but it's a pretty damn good one. And we wouldn't have known about this until you came into our orbit, right? We met you at Camp FI in Florida. And I mean, it's just so cool to see where a multi-year relationship like that can go. And now you're helping listeners like Anita. I mean, to me, that's like a chill-inducing thing because that is the crowdsourcing experiment that Jonathan and I set out to start in January 2017. It's cool that this is Salesforce. I think this is awesome. I think it's a great opportunity. But man, it's that concept of crowdsourcing I just absolutely love. So I wanted to get that off my chest. I think this is unbelievable. And I guess, so my question, well, Jonathan has 75 questions lined up, I'm sure. My question is there anybody that their background and skill set would not, I guess, in theory, lead them to success with Salesforce? So, put it another way, are there people that you would actively dissuade from going down this path?
Yeah, I think the short answer is yes. There are people who probably shouldn't go down this path, and I think I probably mentioned this in the episode back in 117, and that is if you're the person who hops on the computer and you accidentally have the screen brightness turned all the way down and you're putting in like calling your grandkids and saying like, what's wrong with my computer? It won't turn on. And then it turns out your brightness was down. Or if you're one of those people who constantly doesn't remember their email password and it's always the computer's fault and it's never your fault, that could be a sign that this might not be for you. But otherwise, if you are one of those people who thinks, I kind of like thinking about the way businesses work. I kind of might even halfway enjoy thinking through the process of how does a new company generate leads? How do they make sales? How do they support those customers once they come on board? If that even sounds halfway interesting, then this is most definitely a place that I would recommend you going, because that's what Salesforce is. It's a tool that you learn how to use by gaining these skills. You learn how to use it, and then you help companies basically automate their processes so that they can be more efficient. And in a nutshell, that's what you're doing. So yeah, I would say if 100% technology is not for you and you are just struggling to get on your computer and make the internet work, then this might not be for you. But that's really about it.
All right.
So if you were able to download this podcast, you probably meet the minimum requirements, right?
I would agree.
That's great. So first of all, for everybody, just if you're interested in the free 5-day challenge that we're going to mention probably throughout this several times, you can access that at ChooseFI.com/Salesforce. I'm not going to keep you to the end of the episode, but just ChooseFI.com/Salesforce if you're interested in checking out that free challenge. Let's start with this. And Nina, I want to bring you into this. You said that way back in the day, or like 6 or 7, even before you found ChooseFI, you would initially have heard the term Salesforce. You had Googled it, and then you would even sign up for Trailhead, but then meh. That was kind of just, there's too much space between here and there. And I think this is probably where it basically begins. So I'd be curious about if that was your perspective then, what your perspective is now. A buddy of mine text messaged me to ask me about this. And he said, so I heard about your Salesforce program. And I said, "Oh, great. How much information do you have about it?" And he says, "Well, just the name of it. I tried to Google it, but it was kind of confusing." Anita, how would you explain to that person on the outside what it is? What exactly would you say you do here?
Well, for me, I relate it to I'm really into organizing shows, so like Marie Kondo and Home Edit, and I feel like I am doing like reorganizing my friend's closet, but reorganizing a business to make it more efficient. But I can totally understand where your friend is coming from because that was one of the things I ran into. So there is actually a lot of information on Salesforce out there. It's too much. It's overwhelming. Even on the Trailhead, it's like the best training site I've ever used. But there were so many different modules and trails, and there wasn't something clear cut for me to actually go on. And I would get distracted by this and that. I'm like, I just got overwhelmed with all the information.
Let me plant this phrase and I'll let you riff off that and then Bradley add some context to it. This is how I would explain it now. Basically, like, first of all, anybody that's even or ever considered getting a master's in business administration where you have to go through all this work, create all these documents, prove all this, or you could just do it. Like Salesforce is actually you executing on a master's of business administration directly for a company. And so what does that look like? How do you help a company use software to find more customers, sell to those customers, retain those customers, secure the customer's data? It's basically like software tools for business administration. And the part that's so amazing is that you can go from never having heard about it before to certified and getting your first job within 4 to 6 months. Anita, is that accurate? Would you add anything onto that I missed?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically something that helps you set up your business for success. And what's really cool about it is whether you're a small business or a big business, if you're starting out as a small business, you see these big businesses, you're like, how can I even compete with that? But you can with Salesforce. It levels you up to their level.
And Bradley?
Yeah, I think that's right. And what it is that there's so many businesses struggling. And if you're a small business owner or you've worked in a small business or even just being an employee at any company and you're being onboarded, think about all that goes into it. And you're probably using Outlook to send emails or Gmail, and then you're logging into some portal to put your time in or, clock in and clock out. And then you're over here filling out HR paperwork, but then you're in this other system to figure out who you're supposed to call today. And you're using probably 5 to 10 different systems on a daily basis. You've got your tasks over here, your to-do list, your meetings, and everything seems so disconnected. And once you work there a couple of years, it's like, okay, I kind of get how the machine works and you figure it out. But as a new employee, it is very distracting and chaotic. And for the business owners, it is just as chaotic because they just want to pull their data from one place and just run a report and have everything they need to run their business. And they can't. They have to pull data out to Excel from 10 different spreadsheets and then plug it all together and try to figure out what the heck it means. And what Salesforce does is it allows you to compile all of that into one system and sort of have this 360 view where you can log in and you can see all of the information about your customers, your prospective customers, how many support tickets you have coming in, what the trends are with all of your data, and then make business decisions based on that. And the crazy thing about being a Salesforce professional is that we know, because we're on the inside right now, even though we're sitting on a podcast episode telling hundreds of thousands of people about this, you're still on the inside of the conversation. And there's so many people who have no idea, including customers who use Salesforce. So they think you have to be this incredibly skilled professional that knows how to do all the magic secrets in order to make this thing work. But it turns out with 3, 4, maybe 6 months of training, I'm not going to say that you're not going to go in there and think you're just the almighty and you're going to take control over the whole system, but you are going to be in a position where you look like a magician. Your employer really has no idea what it is you're doing. They just know that it works. And that's really the incredible thing. And what leans into the lifestyle flexibility side of it is that they don't know if it was supposed to take you 1 hour or 10 hours. And if you just get the job done by the time they needed it done by, they're perfectly fine with that. And it allows you to pull a lot of different levers to increase your flexibility.
Bradley, I love that look like a magician thing. That so rings true to my experience with corporate America. When I worked in my tax department, we actually hired somebody. I think they worked for one of the major accounting firms, but we paid him like, I forget, it was like $200 an hour or more to basically create an Excel file for us because like he had these skills and it probably was a couple months worth of learning, right? Like it was nothing revolutionary. But to us, he looked like a wizard, right? It looked like something out of a different age. So it's amazing when you can have when you're just that little bit better than the people who are existing there, you do look like a wizard. So I think that is super, super cool.
And I think as you start to work through these questions, what's perfect is this person didn't know we were going to do this episode. I didn't even give me permission to ask these questions on his behalf. So that's why I'm not using his name. But I think it perfectly reflects exactly what someone that's on the outside is thinking right now. So first of all, I want to say that Bradley and I, after talking to Bradley, and we were trying to create the expectations for what you could expect to see in terms of results on the other side, we said, can you give us 6 months? If you give us 6 months to work with you, we think we can get you from no experience to in a job with pretty much any individual, the vast majority of the individuals that work with us. And then 2, we think that almost without exception, if you go through this process, we can get you into a job that pays somewhere between $60,000 to $80,000 a year. Now, Anita, I'll give this to you first. Was that accurate from your experience, not as someone that went through the program, but also has seen tons of other students go through this program? Do you think that was fair and maybe even conservative in some cases?
From seeing everyone else in the program, yes, that was fair. My case was a unique case, and I actually went over that amount.
All right, so we're talking about the pay structure. My understanding is your first offer, your first job that you landed, pays over it's a 6-figure job. Is that accurate?
I pretty much doubled my salary from when I used to work in hospitality. Doesn't pay that well, in case anyone wants to know. But
Discounts
yes,
on hotel rooms, though, right?
it,
Discounts
ma-
on
it, it makes it worth it until you do the math and you're like, oh, I should just focus on making more money.
We did not bill it
That's
as
awesome.
a make 6-figure income, but it is worth pointing out that most people will be very excited about pivoting into a totally new industry and starting out with 1680K. And Anita, regardless of whether it was 60 to 80 or 100 for you, with your perspective now, is that where you cap out? Is that the end for you?
No, definitely not. If you listen to Bradley's episode, I want to work 20 hours a week, making 200K a year.
And
That's the
Bradley,
end goal.
is that a possible? I mean, let's kind of give people a scope here. We just said, you're telling me I can be brand new. I'm going to come into a job. I'm going to look like a magician, and they're going to pay me $60,000 to $80,000 a year. I could get some crazy outlier scenario where, like in Anita's case, my first job offer in a totally new industry that I didn't know anything about it 6 months ago, they're going to pay me 100, plus $1,000 a year. And you're telling me that I don't stop there? Like, map out for me, Bradley, what someone that's focused on the strategy here and making the right moves, what gets them to the point kind of closer, approximating what you're doing?
Yeah, I'll try to make this as concise as possible. But basically, once you go through the career development program, you're going to be at a point where you're making $60,000 to $80,000 if you're the norm. So just normal deviation between $60,000 and $80,000. There are going to be some people like Anita that are going to make 6 figures, and that's incredible, and that's an amazing success story. The typical is probably around $70,000 for, which is still incredible to me that you can do something for 3 to 6 months and all of a sudden be making $70,000 in a new career path. And yeah, the trajectory goes up incredibly fast. So just a normal person, let's say that you're not going to use any overly unique strategies to try to figure this out. You're just going to follow the career path, do your job, and move forward. So after about a year, you're going to go from, say, $70,000 to about $85,000. After a couple of years, you'll be, around $90,000 to $100,000. And after 3 years, you're going to be well over 6 figures just on a typical. You're not leaning into the challenge. You're just coasting, and you're going to be on this trajectory. You're probably going to cap out. Like, if Salesforce professionals are listening now and they're not applying strategies and they're not trying to use techniques to level up their careers, they're probably going to say, you'll probably cap out at 130,000 base pay plus maybe $20,000 to $30,000 in bonuses. So you're probably going to cap out around 150,000, 160,000 total income. And I would typically agree with that if you are being complacent and you're just sitting back and letting Salesforce come to you and you're not attacking the career. Now, if you attack the career, there are some strategies you can put in place. And one of those is very familiar to the FI community, and that is the side hustle. And you can take your day job, and because you already have these skills, you already have these extremely lucrative Salesforce skills, there are companies out there who can't afford an employee that is $100,000 a year. There are companies out there who just bought Salesforce and then they realized, oh my goodness, these professionals get paid $150, $200 an hour to work for me. Like, I'm going to have to figure this out on my own. Well, lucky for them, there is a complete side hustle or side gig community in the Salesforce space. And a lot of people call it freelancing. In my opinion, that cheapens it. And I sort of call it independent consulting because it is a truly high skilled job. You can learn it in 6 months, but it's still considered very high skill. And you can go out there and help people, even at an entry level. You can help companies on the side for $40 to $50 an hour. Once you get to, sort of a standard level, you can charge maybe $80 to $100 an hour. And if you have some specialty skills, you can charge upwards of $150, $200 an hour. So you can do all of this on the side because these companies don't want to pay you $130,000, $150,000 a year. They want to be able to get you just for what they need for those dire fires they need to put out. And they pull you in, and you might do a small, 20-hour assignment for them and, pull out $2,000 in a week.
And Bradley, to your point, like, I know actually you are a little complacent to some degree in that your goal is not to make all the money in the world at this point. Like, you see the path, you have a clear path to make $400,000+ a year. And you say, you know what? $200,000 a year, 20 hours a week, and lots of extra time with my wife and daughter. That sounds about perfect. So that was your chosen sweet spot. And that is amazing. That is amazing that we're talking. And you really discovered that when you put together a lot of the principles that the FI community talks about. Time is your most precious, non-renewable resource. And what would it look like to design my lifestyle? But there's a period that all of us, either because we're digging our way out of a hole. I know a lot of dentists with $500,000, $600,000 worth of debt, and they're making $120,000 a year. Tough hole. It's a tough hole, right? And if I look at my own ROI, and I was getting to this point with my buddy of mine, I'm almost at the point now, and Brad's actually reeling me back in a lot, saying, dude, just chill. Where I'm like, dude, I wouldn't go to college now. I absolutely would not go to college right now. And just for the audience, before you hop down my throat on this, let me explain my logic on this, because I did the path. I followed the path that they set out would be the path. This is my Google search, my top line Google search in 1998 or 99 or whatever. And that was, hey, top 10 professions, doctor, pharmacy, lawyer, et cetera. Work your way down the list. What is that going to require? 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of pharmacy school. The 4 years of pharmacy school was around $168,000 at the time that I went through. Add on some amount for undergrad if you want to. I think now it's probably more than that. And you would say, all right, that's going to be 8 years of your life. That's probably a minimum of $200,000 of cost. You could call that student loan debt. Maybe you're paying for it out of pocket. But either way, actual cost, probably over $200,000. What I get paid at the other end of that 8 years was, kind of right around 110, 120 in terms of a ratio. And again, this is someone that's made it. A lot of people in professional programs could use this math really, really quickly. Someone that has made it, quote unquote, the ratio was like 0.7 to 1, like what I made to what I spent, 0.7 to 1, 0.8 to 1. They say that a good ratio is like 1 to 1. So you're a teacher, you spend $50,000 on your degree, you make $50,000 a year. Yay, 1 to 1. You can handle that debt. That's all good. And that doesn't even account for the time commitment. I gave up 8 years. I'm telling you, an 18-year-old could go through this program. And Anita, I'm going to come back to you and ask you if this is true. An 18-year-old with a high school diploma, maybe still they're working on this while they're in high school, 17-year-old could go through this program and 6 months later get a job without college. I promise, without college, a certificate program, and land a job making $70,000 to $80,000. I promise you, my net worth, and I've done really well. I've optimized really well with what I had to work with. My net worth would be 2 to 3 times what it is right now if I had heard this episode, and the opportunities that are available now were available when I was 19 years or 20 years old. Anita, I'll give that back to you. Am I misrepresenting your understanding of the ROI of a program like this versus a college degree?
Not at all. You're 100% correct. I'm like a little angry that I went through college just to get to this point. Oh my God. If I started this when I was 18, I'd be FI
But Anita, you
multiple
would have
times over.
missed out on the college experience.
Oh, yeah. That.
I'm sure Brad can talk
Great.
me down. I want to say my views do not reflect everybody on this call. I'm more aggressive. I'm more hostile. I'm more irritable, but it's because like I know how much following this system and that path cost me in retrospect. I would 100% be doing this. I'd be making $300,000 plus a year, and I'd be fine multiple times over if I had this path laid out for me, at the age of 19 or 20 years old. Brad, Brad, I'll give it back to you. You can tell me a little too intense. Dial it back, Jonathan, by 0.5.
No, I mean that's your personal opinion and your experience, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think right. I mean, we are not the violently anti-college show. I think what we are is, can you think a little bit differently, right? So many people for decades just assumed that the path to success was X, right? It was do well in high school, get into a good college, get one of these top 10 degrees or top 10 highest paying jobs, and ride off into the sunset. And I think what the hallmark of the FI community is now is we see the world as it is, and we look for truth, and we understand that things change, right? And now that's not to say that college is a poor decision for everyone. It isn't. But is it the same slam dunk, no brainer decision that it may have been in 1990 or 2000 or any time in between, right? Or it's not. It's not the same slam dunk. And I think that is what we're trying to do with ChooseFI. That is what this FI community is doing. Again, going back to what I said 20 minutes ago about crowdsourcing, it's finding these ideas of alternate paths that you can take that are going to lead you to success. And, Jonathan, something you said very much in passing there is so critical, is the 8 years of your life, right? Think about, that is the concept of opportunity cost. What could you have done with those 8 years? Even if you had gotten a low-level job, you would have, that 168,000 negative to a positive swing over 8 years, if you saved all of that money, if you lived at home, like you would have been well on your path to FI, even without a lucrative job like this. So again, that is not, it's easy to look back in hindsight, but that's a fair representation of what your career path was. And yes, in your case, if you had started this at 18, slam dunk, no brainer, guaranteed win. So I think that is the takeaway that I would like to get across here for the audience is think differently, look at the world as it is, and see opportunities and see, hey, maybe the regular standard path isn't perfect for me. Maybe I'll look into this Salesforce. Maybe I just randomly said there are people that'll pay you $100+ an hour if you're a wizard at Microsoft Excel. We've had people call in with all sorts of different ways to earn more, to negotiate on your salary. Like there are tons of things that we can crowdsource as a community. And I think this is one, obviously we're spending nearly an entire episode on this. This is one that we think has real legs. And it's just a huge testament to Bradley for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll hop in on that because I think you're right. I think there are a lot, I won't say a lot. I think there are quite a few skills that you could leverage to rapidly increase your income. I would say the really amazing thing about Salesforce specifically is that we have spent so much time on it, right? And we've taken this back and we've said, hey, we've recognized someone from our community who might be able to consolidate this and make something comprehensive. So I think the neat thing about the Salesforce path specifically is that we've already cleared the path. We've already said, here's the outline. If you want to achieve it, go achieve it. But I think you're right. I bet there are people in the community that would know maybe a clear path to Microsoft Excel without getting buried in what I imagine are hundreds of hours of content about what you can and can't do on Excel. And on the college topic, I know there are people in the Salesforce community going this route. There's a guy named Parker Edelman who was homeschooled, and he actually did Trailhead at his homeschool as sort of an extracurricular. And he landed a consulting job at 16 years old. And now he's 19, making six figures, and he's been consulting ever since. And I actually, because of episode 117 and because of the Facebook group that came from that, we started the Salesforce for Everyone group. And I had someone reach out to me just last month from my neighborhood and said, oh my gosh, I had no idea I go to Wiregrass High School right down the road, and you live in my neighborhood, and I can't believe it's you because I've been following you guys and I've been watching all this content, and my parents are basically forcing me to go to college, so I'm going. But I'm also learning Salesforce at the same time, and he's already doing paid Salesforce contracting every summer for internships while he's in college. So it's incredible. So I think I fall somewhere in between where it's going to be hard to get over this hurdle of over the last 10 years. I think we've heard people championing the idea of I'm the first person from my family to go to college. Isn't that incredible? And it is incredible. And now you might be the first person from your family who doesn't go to college. And that's a hard pill to swallow because you feel like you might be doing the wrong thing by making a different decision from what society and the standard narrative has been telling us for so long. So I think there is a hybrid approach. I mean, to your point, we go to even an undergrad degree for 4 years, much less a graduate degree of 6 or 8 years. And we're not asking you to dedicate a year. And really, we're saying you can come up somewhere short of 6 months. And what if you just did it over the summer? Instead of taking summer classes one summer, you just said, you know what, I'm going to do this career development program and I'm going to see what this is about. And if you dedicate a couple of months over the summer, you are already well on your way to deciding, do I want to sign up and enroll for next term at school, or do I want to lean into this new career? Worst case scenario, you graduate from college with an amazing skill set in your back pocket, just in case that degree doesn't pan out for you.
Bradley, I wanted to talk about why we did well. So we talked about ROI just a second there, and I just want to make sure people capture this. Again, the free challenge is at ChooseFI.com/Salesforce, ChooseFI.com/Salesforce. But I wanted to the ROI. We talked about the time ROI. So we're talking 4 years conservatively. A lot of people end up saying, well, you got to stay for 5. Got to go for 6, got to for 8, got to get the graduate, whatever. But 4 years to 8 years on the one end, 6 months on the other. That's obvious. But I also want people to think about like the ROI on the other side, which is the actual physical monetary cost. On the one end, you have school, which most of us expect, even conservatively, about $50,000, I think is what we would say. Like that's like absolute table stakes for a college degree. And many of us kind of acknowledge that for our kids, we're going to want to save about 6 figures. Holy crap. And then conversely, let's just go with the more conservative number, the 40 or $50,000. On the other end, you could do Salesforce for free on your own. There's some people that go that path. You could do a program, and I think what we put together is probably the best one out there, in which case you're talking about maybe a couple $1,000s, something like that. Just compare those two. And it's like, and then on the other end, so let's throw this number out there. When people go to college and they graduate last year, the MSRP, it's a car term. So the average cost of college was around $120,000. The average income for that first year grad was about $50,000 a year. That's brutal. Conversely, you have, free to maybe a couple $1,000 investment, and you're making, 60 to 80K. So on the one end, you're getting a 0.5 to 1 ratio, the traditional path. On this end, you're getting a 30 to 1 ratio. That's like, you need to understand that these are not made up numbers. These are real numbers. These are life-changing numbers. It's crazy. And then I asked that because some people want to know, well, how much does something like this cost? You can do this for free. You don't need us. And Bradley, that was my point about the 5-day challenge. Like, what is that? And, if someone wanted to do it for free, they don't want your help. They just like, you gave me the idea, you gave me the information. Like, I'm going to take this and run, and I'm going to crush this thing. Like, what's the path here, and why is the free 5-day challenge so valuable for them?
Yeah, I think the 5-day challenge is really a no-brainer for anyone. Even if you come out of hearing this conversation and you say, yeah, I don't think so, just try the 5-day challenge because it might change your mind. And if it did change your mind and this ended up working out for you, that would be a heck of a thing to miss out on just because you didn't want to try a little 5-day challenge. That challenge takes about 30 minutes a day. And what it's going to do for you is help you better understand what Salesforce is and how to get started. It's going to show you how to get set up on Trailhead, which is the free training platform. So when we say free 5-day challenge, there are no strings attached. There's no credit card information, not a penny that you're going to pay. And you could be well on your way to the DIY approach to Salesforce. So you're going to learn how to get started on training. We're going to show you a clear path to exactly what to do if you want to do this yourself. We're going to show you how to get experience by doing volunteer projects with companies. We're going to show you how to build your personal branding online so that other people can see the skills that you're building and reach out to you. And you can reach out to them for job opportunities. So we're really going to show you a 360 view of the Salesforce space, and you're going to have a good understanding of whether or not Salesforce is for you. And you're also going to have a good understanding of what the path forward is if you want to leverage Salesforce as your career.
And then I'll give the second half to Anita, because Anita, you chose to do the paid program that Bradley and I put together. And then from your perspective, you went through the free 5-day challenge. You probably had a better understanding of, what the path would be. What value did you see personally for going through the paid program that Bradley had put in?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, oh, this is a lot of money and I'm living on unemployment right now. Like, is this real? Do I like just spend it? And I mean, I thought about it more and I was like, well, I've had similar programs in the past that I've been part of and they work. So I bit the bullet, joined in. I mean, additional thought process is, I was in an industry that got hit hard. Salesforce is one of those things where it's part of every industry. So if one industry is like getting hit hard, you can do Salesforce for other types of companies. So I mean, like, I'm not going to be in the same situation where I'm getting furloughed or laid off. I mean, God forbid we have another pandemic or this one ever ends. Like, it's just it's something I know I'll be able to do it forever. So it's way worth it. I mean, looking back now, I'm just like, God, I should have done it like faster. It's just insane. Like how easy. Not like I didn't put a lot of time studying and stuff, but compared to like how much income potential there is, it's just a no-brainer. Just sign up for the program. I know it sounds crazy
But I'm going to focus
even
you a little
think.
bit. No. I'm going to focus you just a little bit, because I want people just to appreciate, because I know what Bradley is doing with this group. I know how hard he's leaning in. I see the vibes and what this group is pulling off. And I just want you to just, from your perspective, like the paid program that Bradley put together, what was the value there? Would you have, why was it that you decided to take the chance and pay money to be a part of this program that Bradley was working on? What do you think it delivered that maybe you could not have gotten on your own?
Focus, a guy, like just a clear path to where I wanted to go, basically.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the biggest thing that I wanted to come down to. I think this is the biggest part that people like maybe get hung up. They want to know, like, is this a scam? Like, is this an MLM? I just want to come back to that. It sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? And I won't let Bradley do this, but Anita, to your end, like, is this an MLM? Is this a pyramid scheme? Is this sales where I'm going to be at a call center? Like, is there any cautionary thing here to keep someone from getting started?
No, it's not. And when I was thinking about joining the program and watching Brad's videos and everything, it's just he's very like just a normal guy. I'm like, okay, so I can probably do this too. It's I know like it sounds like it's a scam. I'm telling you, it's not. You don't know me, but it's not a scam. And like even as I got this new job, I like it didn't even hit me until like I was like, all right, when's the other like shoe gonna drop? Let me wait until I get my first paycheck to make sure this is actually real and happening. It is.
All right. Yeah, and I think you said one thing there that I want people to hear. You're not necessarily, although you're not necessarily working for Salesforce, even though you're getting trained on sales or using it. You are working for companies all around the world that need this very specific skill set. Much like Brad said, people need to know how to use Excel. This is the ring that binds them all. This is the software that many of the biggest companies and the small companies use. This is the software that levels the playing field. So mom and pop shop and small business owner can get the same level of customer service at scale that Coca-Cola is giving, that, any number of Fortune 500 companies are giving. So your job prospects are nearly limitless. And Anita, I just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations from Brad and myself. And second, we cannot wait to see where you take this thing from here.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. I told you this is coming. And to Brad's point, I don't think this is going to be the last time that we will be able to track an opportunity like this down and bring in experts to help us bridge the gap between the top line Google search, which gives you just enough information to make it a waste of time and not enough for you to truly execute on it. I think simplifying everything is like our guiding light and looking at everything through the lens of opportunity cost, ROI, and really, what does it look like to be able to build a better life? So I hope you got excited about this. I hope you give it a shot. Just check out the free challenge at ChooseFI.com/Salesforce. The other aspect that I wanted to talk about real briefly is an experiment that we're going to roll. That first tagline that we had way back in the day, experiments and financial independence. Our our overarching goal for 4 years has been tried to be how do we crowdsource this, which you heard us mention, and you see the value there. But even more than that, how to make this interactive. And we've tried a bunch of different things, and we always try to bring in voicemails and questions and that sort of thing. But we are going to try to take this to a whole nother level. And you guys know we did the live events earlier this year. We are going to try to replicate a live radio show experience for you guys. And we're going to do it using a new tool that's hitting the market called Stereo. And I wanted to send this over to Brad. Maybe you could give our audience just a little bit more information about that.
Yeah, so Jonathan, for the next 10 weeks, we're going to be doing this fun live experiment. And the cool part about having it live is people can send in questions. So you can actually, through stereo, you can send in voicemails and we can play your voicemail on this live stereo and on the show ultimately, which is really a lot of fun. So the first event is coming up this upcoming Tuesday, February 23rd, and it's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the way to get into this, so this is actually an app that you're going to download. So on your cell phone, go to choosefi.com/live, and that will redirect you to the exact event page for this upcoming event on stereo. So couldn't be easier. Just on your cell phone, go to choosefi.com/live.
And Brad, if you remember what we tried to pull off, maybe even like a year or two ago, it was something like, "Hey, listen to the Monday episode, send us an email or something, or some sort of question, something that you think we missed, a criticism, whatever it is," and then we can then and it didn't work exceedingly well because people hadn't had time to digest it. Writing an email is a real chore. My thought with this is you have like if you're interacting with our content, at some point you got stuck on something or you think we missed something or you think the community would value from an additional piece of input. This is your opportunity to do that. So if you listen to the Monday episode and you said, "Man, you guys totally missed it. This is something that it would be useful for the audience to know." You can drop in on Tuesday night, share that via voicemail, and we can figure out a way to see if we can get it worked into the Friday show. If it's something from a couple episodes back, like even this episode, you had an additional question about Salesforce, we can give you our perspective on that, bring it into the show, etc. If you have something in the Facebook group that is, feels like you want to get us to weigh in on that, then bring it up. Join us on Tuesday nights. This is a chance for you to get our perspective on that as best we can. It's going to be live. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be a lot of fun. And most importantly, it's going to be at choosefi.com/live starting on February 23rd at 7:30 Eastern time. And make sure when you go to that, you go to it from your cell phone because it's going to encourage you, as Brad said, to download the Stereo app, which will be the tool that we use to record this. All right, my friends, with that in mind, check out the Salesforce challenge, right? Check it out for yourself. Check it out. Share it with a friend or family member, someone that you know is underemployed or someone that is just irritated with, maybe what's going on at work and what their opportunities are. This is all about awareness, right? You should at least be aware that this sort of possibility is out there and that you can make the transition that quickly. There's literally no downside. Just go to choosefi.com/Salesforce for more information. All right, my friends, the fire is spreading. We'll see you next time as we continue to go down the road less traveled.